All right, and welcome back to the final segment of Inside Bodybuilding, the second episode. We are here now, Taylor and I are here now with IFBB Pro, Fred Smalls. Fred, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how you doing? Glad to be on your this radio show with you guys, and honored to be here. So
we're very excited to have you too. I love getting guys that have been at the pinnacle of the sport before. It's not too often you can talk and really get to know somebody that's been at the Olympia stage and the Arnold stage. We got a lot to talk to you today about. I mean, we're going to talk training, nutrition, and all that good stuff, how you got started into bodybuilding. But I actually want to get right into some of the meat and potatoes of the current stage of professional bodybuilding. And with the Arnold just being a few weeks away, right, you're not in it this year. How did you not get selected? You've always kind of been a staple since you've been a pro, being at the Arnold.
You know, I went into the Olympia last year with my best look ever, and I thought, you know, I very easily could have been in the top 10. But I know what I need to work on my body to make it, so I'm definitely going to be in the top 10. And so I knew I needed the time. I've pretty much been in contest condition for the last 2.5 years. So I just felt like my body needed a break. I needed to eat and get back into just loving and training again, you know? So absolutely. I'm getting excited to go on to stage again May 1st for the Orlando Pro.
Okay, very nice, very nice. So that's, what does that put us, about 3.5 months out right now?
Yeah, 13 weeks out. Yep.
So Fred, would this be your first, what you would consider real off season in a long time?
Since I turned pro, yes.
Oh,
yep.
Wow.
So...
Do you think that might have been sort of holding you back from making a big leap as opposed to just the improvements you have been making?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know, I've gotten second at a pro show. You know, I've always been consistently in the top 5 when it comes to the Europas. And, you know, I've been on the Olympia stage twice. So, I mean, getting in the upper echelon of guys is definitely, I need to be a little bigger. But I also needed to brand myself and build the name. And, you know, so it was kind of like, do I, you know, compete twice a year and stop, but then when I competed, people would see the routines and I get more guest posing offers. So, you know, you're always trying to balance it, you know?
Agreed.
So when you mean brand yourself, do you mean more so along the lines of like getting guest poses, or do you think those judges need to get more familiar with who you are as a competitor to do well?
No, not really get to know me, because I have George Farrah in my corner, and every judge knows George Farrah, and then I know Steve Weinberger. He's always looked at me before I do any major show. So it's not really about the judges. It's about the fans, you know. And like before, you know, before last year, I say up until 2013. 2013, I did Arnold, and I did really well, you know. And a lot of people had me in the top 6. From there, my career kind of took off when it comes to guest appearances and things. And so when everyone's like, you need to take an off season and get bigger, but you got 10 gigs appearances or guest posing appearances that you can do. And it's not just about, you know, this game is not just about putting the best physique. It's also a business. It's a business of bodybuilding. So, you know, we have an opportunity to make a lot of money just doing guest appearances. You kind of take it, you know?
So you put a lot of effort into not being, a lot of people when they turn pro, they take the customary 1 year off, 2 year off, and that kind of kills their buzz. You try to do the opposite, right? And just get right out of the gate?
No, I turned pro in October 2010. Yeah. And I was on stage in 2011. And my first show out, I was top 5, you know? So, I guess I didn't really take the year off. I didn't feel like I was going to ever be that guy that's going to be 250 on stage. I felt like it's going to have to be symmetry and conditioning. And my problem has always been conditioning. So I'm always fighting that. And the times I nail it, I always do really well. So, and we're getting certainly more consistent with nailing it.
For sure.
But what odd thing happened is, as I've been doing this, you know, I'm seeing myself last year, and I kind of just took 4 months off after the Arnold Brazil, because I didn't like how I looked at Arnold Brazil. And I put on, about 8 pounds of stage weight for the Olympia. And I said, well, shit, maybe I can get bigger. You know, maybe I just need to take some time. And up with my lifting coach now is Paul Carter. And man, I'm in the gym excited about lifting again. I feel like I'm a kid again. And everything's fun again, you know? So I can't wait to see what I put on stage this year.
Yes.
So what is your, hold on, what is your, what's the problem with you not coming in shape? I mean, is it a discipline thing as far as the diet goes, or is it just the final couple of weeks? You just can't dial it in. Where do you see it? Or where does George see it?
Well, I'm always in shape. It's a matter of my coming in dry enough.
Right, sure.
Lean enough, you know, like it's water manipulation. And as George says it, you know, he says, I'm the most difficult client he's ever had when it comes to nailing it, because I can do everything right and being spot on, and then the next time I do everything right and be totally off. Like when I did Phoenix, there was absolutely no reason why I shouldn't have been shredded in Phoenix. I mean, I did everything I would normally do, and I did it just as hard because I felt like I had a real shot to win Phoenix. And I came in and got 5th, which was, you know, really upsetting. But then I looked at the pics and I was like, well, I wasn't my best. And I still held a layer. And it was like my body just didn't want to let it go, you know? So I attribute it to, you know, too much cortisol, the body being just tired, and it just didn't respond. So, you know, it's a long tour. I did 9 shows last year. So it was
what's the game plan for this year? Let's say you go out and have a great show in 13 weeks. Will you continue on with the summer plans, or will you take a break since you have that win in the bag and just ride into the Olympia, or what do you see?
Well, the plan is to do Orlando and New York Pro and be qualified for Olympia after that. Okay. If that doesn't happen, then we will do Toronto, which I can't foresee not being qualified after Toronto. And then it's to take the rest of the year off, or I got guest appearances lined up, so I'll take the rest of the time and train for the Olympia.
For sure. So moving ahead, just in general, speaking about the IFBB, you turned pro in 2010, and that was still, correct me if I'm wrong, but I still believe they were only rewarding 1 pro card per division winner at that stage. What do you think about them offering 2 cards to each division? Is that making the bodybuilding watered down, or is that good for the sport?
It does, but if you have it does water it down somewhat. But you know, let's kind of put it in a different perspective. This sport has to, in order for it to grow, sponsors have to be willing to dump money into it. And if a promoter is only going to get 15 competitors, then he can't grow his contest because he can't pick up the sponsors to support it. But when you have a promoter who's bringing 30 guys to the table, and the fans are like, holy shit, 30 guys, and and every bodybuilder out there has their following. However small, how big, everyone has their following. And it got to a point where you only had the top guys doing certain shows, so all the other shows would kind of suffer. But now you have, more volume, more divisions, more pros coming out, and the shows are just end up larger. So larger, more competitors, more spectators, more money. Do
you think the IFBB should mandate guys and make them compete more often? Like, I just look at the Arnold coming up here, and I know we're talking about people's bodies and there's health risks, involved with being at the top of the sport, but I don't think it's good that a guy like Dennis Wolf or Sean Roden, who the fans are there to see, are not competing at the Arnold. Do you think they should be almost forced to do it?
Well, here's the thing. Like, I got and I kind of I'll put it back on myself. I had the promoter of the Russia competition last year, the first time they ran it, they wanted me to do that for the entertainment because I got a lot of fans over there that like to see me pose. And I was all in. But then when I got done Phoenix, I was just burnt out. I didn't have nothing. So, and it's kind of like what happened, to Kai in Prague. You get burnt out, and, like he gets done the Olympia, he doesn't want to compete anymore. And any amateur knows that how much it goes into doing one show. So imagine doing multiple shows and trying to compete for money and everything else that goes along with being a pro bodybuilder.
I guess we can factor in traveling as well too, right?
Yeah, travel. And when we go to a show, it's not, hey, you can sit in your hotel room and then go to the show. When you go to the shows, especially like the Arnold, you're doing tons of PR. You're doing, interviews, magazines, all this stuff. That's awesome. It's great. It's a blessing. But it's still very taxing on your body, on your mental state. And, if you take Sean Roden, for instance, he got done in Italy, he was done. He was done. And he didn't feel like touching the weight until, December or January. And then you're going to say, Duty Arnold, not at your best. And that's what happened to me last year. I got done proud, and I was just done. I didn't feel like, I just didn't want to touch weight. And I was burnt out, and then I tried to get ready for the Arnold in 10 weeks, and it didn't work out. So, I think it's great for the fans to have to be able to see the stars and stuff. But if a Sean Roden or Dennis Wolf doesn't do it, it's just going to give an opportunity for someone else to shine anyway, because all of us are good, so someone else to shine.
And it's to piggyback what you're saying to that too, because I do, and I know you'll probably agree to this because you get paid to guest pose, but you're talking about promoters and having 15 guys at a show versus 30 guys at a show, at a pro show, and obviously that is better for everybody. It definitely sounds like to get more guys at a show, i.e., and then get more fans at a show, they should bring back the posing round and make that part of the scoring. But then also at shows, okay, because I understand what you're saying as far as, say, Dennis Wolf or Sean Roden or Kai Greene, they're burnout, they need some time off. There shouldn't be there shouldn't be a forced competition as far as their obligation of being a top pro. But would it kill these guys or would it kill the federation to strongly urge these guys to get up and do a guest posing at the intermission of the finals of the night show? If it's really all about the fans and growing the sport, don't you think? I mean, because Mannion does that at Pittsburgh. He's got all the guys out, for the guest posing in Pittsburgh.
Right.
It's something like that. I mean, I think that would draw a lot of attention. Just get these guys out there as part of being ambassadors of the sport and part of the brand promotion. What do you think about that?
Huh. That's interesting. I mean, I guess it would be cool, but then again, it goes back to this. I saw when they did that guest posing in Pittsburgh in 2013, and a couple guys weren't in the best shape, they got ripped for it. They got ripped for it by the fans, especially when you got a guy like Kai Greene who showed up in shape and it looked amazing. Then that just made everybody else look terrible. And so image. This sport is so big on image, and everybody's always has this fantasy of what everybody's going to look like all the time, and reality is it can't be like that all the time. It's not healthy to stay like that all the time. Right. And though it's great for the fans, it's not great for you as the individual to stay contest ready all the time, because it's just you're killing yourself if you do that. Right. So, and again, by bringing in more people, I mean, no one looked at Brad Rowe last year, and he ended up beating me at the at the Phoenix show. He ended up almost beating John Jackson at the show. And no one's even looking at the kid. And you know why? Because me and Johnny are totally burnt out from doing the tour and everything else, and he's fresh. He's in there, and he's looking great. So he had his time to shine. You know what I mean? So when one person's not there, someone else will step up. They always do.
Let me ask you something. Lonnie Teeper gave you the nickname Biggie Smalls. Is that cheesy or no? Do you hate that?
No, the fans love it, man. When I was, I used to call myself something else, but I mean, honestly, when I was in Australia, I mean, the whole crowd, I got 6 in Australia. The whole crowd is sitting there watching me on stage chanting "Biggie, Biggie, Biggie," and the other pros are in the audience. So, it's flattering. He came up with the name. I didn't. If I came up with it, yes, it would be cheesy. But the fact that I didn't come up with it and it stuck, I mean,
it's almost too.
Got a ring to it.
It's almost too perfect. You know what I mean? It's too good. It just makes too much sense with the.
Now, Fred, I gotta get to something that you're probably gonna not like me for bringing this up, but damn it if I do, damn if I don't. Bodybuilders have been getting criticized a lot, and you're one of them for having guts on stage, stomach distension. What's I mean, you call a spade a spade. You've had a gut at times. I don't know if that's stomach control or what's going on. What is your take on your gut coming out sometimes in competition?
Well, that control a lot better this past year. So I worked very hard on trying to control this past year, but it's just volume. You know, I mean, your stomach, your intestines, everything's got to push all that food through. And you know, I believe that, you know, when you have a small waist and the food's got to process somewhere, and you know, when you're in the off season, if you're eating a lot of food all the time, or you know, you have crazy cheat meals for a week or something like that, it just expands your stomach. And then another thing that I think causes it is that, you know, unfortunately I tried, that's stupid, I won't do it again, is that PGCL. You get so inflamed when you do it that you're inflamed for like weeks afterwards, and you can't bring your stomach back down. And you know, call it trying to get an edge, trying to get an advantage, but you do that stuff, man, and it just inflames your whole bowels.
Right.
Fred, do you think it's something that's sort of cumulative over the off season, or is it something that more so just flares up when you're carbing up? Is it more of like a temporary thing that the timing is just unfortunate? I mean, in general, not for you necessarily, but do you think it's like you said, of food volume over the off season, or is it temporary?
But I think as long as you over the off season, you there?
Yeah. Sorry, we dropped it a little bit. I'll clear it up.
Okay, cool. I think if in the off season, it's very important to you know, eat enough food, but maybe not do too much volume at one time. And then as carbing up, I think it's if you can carb up over a few days as opposed to doing it all at once, then you can handle the food. But a lot of times it's just, you know, you have a lot going in, you're on no fluid, and it just takes everything a long time to process.
Yeah.
So is it in your opinion, is it a lot of myth or folklore on the internet by guys saying it's growth hormone related or insulin related? Is that all a bunch of nonsense and it's mostly food, or what?
The guys in the 90s were doing hormone, you know, I mean, that's nothing new. You know, I think I do know this though. I know that changing, you know, where you put it does make a difference. You know, so you know, I don't do sub-Q anymore in my stomach, and that's helped out a lot. So,
okay. Where do you put it, if you don't mind me asking?
Typically, you know, arms, delts, something like that. And
intramuscular is the way to go now, or is that?
It works well for me. It works well for me, and you know, so I don't see a problem with trying it.
All right, so moving on to the Arnold Classic this year, because since you're a spectator, I got to get your opinion on it. Without the big names in it, like, you know, Wolf and Roden, and obviously Kai not doing it, or Big Ramy. We got Evan Centopani, Justin Compton, Cedric McMillan, Dexter Jackson, Rolly Winkler. I mean, there's a lot of Lionel Baiki. There's a lot of really good guys. Yeah. Where do you see it falling this year? I mean, obviously a lot depends on who's going to come in shape and who doesn't, but just from what you know and having inside info, what do you think this season?
From a friendship standpoint, I'm hoping Dexter can do it. But, you know, that dude, Justin Compton, is pretty scary, man. I mean, I've seen everybody up in person, and the transformation of him from 2013 to 2014 was crazy. He's got a pretty amazing physique. He's got aesthetics, and he's big, and he's supposedly only getting bigger. And I was super impressed when he was on stage. I was next to him. Super impressed.
Do you think he has?
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, Matt, you cut out, I think.
Got the Dyson vacuum going again, apparently.
Yeah.
So, anyways, hopefully we can cut that out. But to bring up the question again, do you think Justin has the muscle maturity to hang? Because I know that was the big controversy with another mass monster, which was Ramy last year and the year before that.
But Ramy's still coming in a little out of shape, though. I mean, he's still holding a lot of water in his glutes and his hams. He turns around to the back, and he's clearly not in competition with any of the top six. You know,
sure.
From the front, he hangs with everybody, even beats most of them. But from the back is where he's getting lost a little bit. I don't see that with Justin. I mean, he's peeled from head to toe, you know, and he's big. His symmetry's good. And, you know, of course, anytime Lionel Becky comes in shape, he's always dangerous. You know, and those
has he ever done that, Fred? Or
I'm not commenting there. But you know, and I'm always interested to see what Rolly can do, because Rolly's been changing leaps and bounds every year as well. So I think this year's Arnold's great, man. I mean, it's a lot of great guys, and it's going to be a great show. So, you know.
Absolutely. What would mean more for you just in your career in general? Would it be winning a show like the New York, or would it be placing top 6 at the Olympia? Where do you rank all these accomplishments that you still have ahead in your career?
I mean, my main focus is what I'm focused on now is 2016. I want to win the Arnold, and that's my focus right now. And you know, and baby steps. You know, I want to get my first pro win this year, and I think, you know, once I get that, then I'll be in contention to compete for a top 6 spot at the Olympia. But I think, in being realistic, I got to get that pro win this year, and I think once I do that, then I'm on the right track to reaching those other goals.
Agreed. I've always been curious about the mindset of somebody like you. You're 100% real with yourself. You obviously have your sights set on a top prize. But at the same time, you're not at the Phil Heath level at this point. And I want to know, like, you know, like, so I've heard your interviews before where, like, I think I saw one with Jay Cutler backstage, and it might have been the Olympia, and he asked you, you know, what would be a good show for you? And you said somewhere between 9th and 11th. And you're in a show at that point knowing that you're not going to win, but yet you still want to do your best. What's the mindset going in knowing you're in a big show, you're in the shape of your life, you put your body through hell for 12, 16 weeks, and you know, gosh, 10th would be really good. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, so when I do a show like the Phoenix or Orlando or something, it's there to win. You know, I'm there to win, and I go with the mindset that, you know, fuck that. They breathe the same air as I do. I'm going in here to win the show. But realistically, when you're talking about the Olympia, I mean, you know, Phil Heath has probably got like the best double bicep we've ever seen in the history of the sport. I mean, even Tops Flex Wheeler, which I thought had the best before. You know, and he's got he's called the gift for a reason. He's got shit that nobody else got. You know? So, but then somebody who's close to my heart, man, who were like, you know, I've worked with him in 2009 when he turned pro, and we've been close ever since. And that's Sean Roden. I look at Sean and I go, okay, I got to keep improving my legs. Because when I was standing next to him in Australia, I was like, okay, I can see it, but his legs were getting me. So that's kind of what I'm going. I'm just looking to improve myself every time. And any show other than the Olympia, I'm training to win it. So, you know, and I can't think in my head I'm gonna win the Olympia if I haven't won anything else yet. So that's where that comes from.
Makes sense. Now, what do you think about Phil Heath? I mean, obviously you have a lot of respect for his physique. Is he a good ambassador for bodybuilding? On the same level that maybe Jay was, or somebody, or even Ronnie before him, is he what we need going forward, or is there somebody else better?
Well, I've talked to Phil many times, and what I like about Phil is he's a lion. I mean, when he gets on that stage, he truly is belief that no one's going to take this from him. What I like about Phil is he crosses all barriers. You know, like, even though we're in 2015, race is still an issue. And he crosses all lines. You know, I don't think people look at him and say, you know, he's to this, he's to that. I think he crosses all barriers. And so for that aspect, I think he's great for the sport. You know, if you like freaks, he's got some shots that he looks like a freak in. If you like aesthetics, he's pretty aesthetic. So he's like the balance of all worlds, you know. And, you know, his training sometimes gets criticized, but he trains the way he likes to train. He trains the way he needs to train to bring up his physique. And there's a lot to be said about that. You know, sometimes, you know, the internet is one of these things that's great for bodybuilding, for exposure, but I think horrible for kids just coming up because they watch what the pros do, and then they think that's what I need to do. And what they don't realize is that before we were doing hammer strength games, a lot of us spent hours and hours on barbells and dumbbells. Before we did cable crossovers, you know, worried about touching any drugs, we were already squatting 500 pounds. You know what I mean? So, you know, I think people think, oh man, I can be this, I can be that. But nothing is going to take the place of just hard work and consistency.
Well, with that in mind, then, what do you think about the upcoming rise of young bodybuilders? It sounds like, you know, a lot of what we're reading on the internet and whatnot is a lot of guys are looking for the easier way out. You know, like you said, you don't see a lot of guys squatting 5 plates for 10 reps or deadlifting anymore, and they're relying on a lot of drugs. What is obviously, you know, you're a component or a proponent of hard work. Is that alarming to see what the next 10, 15 years might bring bodybuilding? Or do you think the strong will still rise to the top and you'll still see like the classic hardcore guys the cream will rise to the top? Is that what you think will happen? Or will we see a whole different generation of bodybuilder come up?
No, I think you'll see, I think, you know, the proof is right out there now. I mean, you got a lot of kids that want to be big and a lot of kids that want to be good, but, you know, they're not really taking over. I mean, at the Nationals this year, other than the one kid who turned pro at 21, which was pretty awesome, and he still lacked a lot of development in his back. He just had, you know, he had a great look and great legs. So, you know, kudos to him. But, I mean, a lot of the guys that turn pro and are early 30s, mid 30s. So, you know, they still got to put the time in. And there's always going to be that freak that comes out of nowhere that's young and setting a new standard. But majority is still going to be guys that have been put in their time, worked hard, and have just been consistent over the years.
Blackstone Labs is bodybuilding's leading source for hardcore legal supplements and the makers of Angel Dust, Ostapure, Cobra 6 Extreme, Apex Male, and over a dozen other products with cutting-edge ingredients that outlast and outshine the competition every time. Formerly the maker of the industry standard in pro hormones, Blackstone Labs has not fallen. In fact, after the dust has settled on gray area supplementation, Blackstone shines brighter and stronger than ever before. Visit blackstonelabs.com or click on the banners throughout Project Bodybuilding and experience bodybuilding science at its finest. That's blackstonelabs.com, the hardcore holy grail of bodybuilding supplements. Iron Mag Labs is the creator of the most hardcore bodybuilding supplements on the market. Makers of the original formula Super DMZ and now Super DMZ 3.0, Iron Mag Labs brings you the strongest legal pro hormones on the market. Also available are Epitrin, Halo Extreme, Epistain, and Asta RX. Go to ironmaglabs.com right now and order from a wide selection. If you are a fan of Project Bodybuilding, please support this company. IronMagLabs.com, the most hardcore bodybuilding supplements on the market. Period.
Hey Fred, you train a lot of clients locally in your area, right?
Yeah, and around the country.
Yeah, for sure. How many clients do you get come up to you that are pretty much sort of telling you what they're doing? And I'm talking, you know, gear and supplement wise, and you have to just tell them to lower it. Like, you're just like, what the hell are you doing?
Well, I've used an example. Jermaine Bell took third at the Nationals this year. And when he first came to me and told me what he's taken, now mind you, we worked together in the past. He took 11th at Nationals once. Other than that, he's never placed in the top 15. And I said, okay, well, let's cut it in half and bring it down even more. And then he started growing. Because, see, what I think a lot of kids don't understand is that when you do too much, you still only have a certain amount of receptors for it to respond to. So when that happens, you know, things that should make you feel like Superman, should make you feel sometimes better, begin to act like the hormones that don't make you feel so good, like cortisol. They begin to tear your body down, create too much inflammation, become toxic to your system.
For sure.
So then it goes opposite. So what does it matter if you're taking 3,000 megs or something, but you can't train more shit because you feel terrible?
Yeah.
See, because if you can't train, then it doesn't matter what you take because you're not stimulating the muscle the way it needs to be stimulated anyway. if you can't eat because your stomach's so screwed up and your liver can't process it because of processing all the other shit, then your body's not going to absorb the nutrients properly, so you're not recovering the way you need to recover anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I learned this the hard way about 10 years ago when I put 100 milligrams of test prop in my calves and I couldn't do legs for like a week. So.
That's funny.
That was that and the bicep injection really fucked me up.
Yeah, I did that once, the biceps, and then I was driving my car the next day. I'm like, I'm never doing that ever.
Fred, let's talk about George Farrah. Everybody wants to know what he's like as being a coach. How hands-on is George? Just how accessible is he for you?
I don't know what he is for anybody else, but that's my brother. I mean, we're like brothers, man. And we don't just talk about bodybuilding; we talk about anything.
Fred, your placings on the national level improved pretty dramatically from 2007, and then 8 and 9 were big steps in the right direction. Is that when you started actually, following along George's advice, or was there anything else that came into play, or just a general mindset change, or what do you attribute that to?
I got a new wife.
Oh, nice.
2008, man. 2008 was probably the biggest example of perseverance ever. I went through a custody battle, dealt with a ton of court stuff, and still ended up placing top 5 at nationals. So, and then 2009, we just started clicking all cylinders. And of course, we were so close. 3 times in a row, and then we just got it on the 4th try.
Cool.
So, yeah, but my wife now, she's amazing, man. She's about, keeping me disciplined and making sure that I do what we need to do. And
was your first wife just not supportive with you, or what was the actual story?
I'll just put it this way. We went to a party one time and everybody was like, "Oh man, you just took the test at nationals. That's awesome." And we left the party and she said, "Where do I get a chance to be in the spotlight?" She's like, "It's always about you."
Huh.
So, some people are built to be supporters and other people want to be in the front, and she just got tired of supporting, and, she just got tired of the lifestyle and not being able to do stuff socially that she wanted to do all the time, and I knew I wanted to bodybuild, and that was it. So
Fred, was your the new wife, was she might have sort of her own thing going on as well? Is that kind of, because usually when people don't have their own thing going on, they're a lot more sort of desperate to interfere with theirs. But I mean, if they have their own kind of passion or career or anything like that, it kind of keeps them happy enough that they can just be supportive. Was that the case?
Yeah, I mean, she's she's a brilliant auditor for the state, and she's very good at with numbers, and she loves being a mom. She's, we have 2 kids together and 4 altogether. My 2 from my first marriage, and she's great with all of them. She's never once complained, man. She's always like, if we got a guest posing thing, and I got a guest posing offer to do on Valentine's Day, and she was like, "Go do it," and I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna see if they'll bring you," and before I agreed to it. But she was all about it. She was like, "Go ahead and do it." So
I think that's such an underrated
whatever
thing.
It takes.
I think that's such an underrated thing, no matter what line of work you're in, whether you're an athlete or just a regular person in business, is having a stable home life can really set you down the path of success. We've seen it so many times where if guys go home and they're miserable, it affects everything in their whole professional lives. So I think it's underrated that you've mentioned that, because a lot of guys maybe wouldn't have put that as the reason behind some poor outcomes, as far as being a professional athlete.
Well, yeah, man. Anytime you talk about stress, it's always horrible on the body and kills your results. And, you have a person that's going to be 100% behind you. And not only that, someone who's going to say in your moment of weakness, where you might have a loss of willpower, when she says, "Nah, that's not going to help you towards your goal. You need to stick with the program," and that also makes a big difference. So
you said George Farrah is like your brother. So this question you're going to die laughing at, I think. You saw the movie Generation Iron, right?
I didn't.
You didn't see Generation Iron? Oh.
No, I'm in it, so I won't watch it until I make top 10 in Olympia.
Well, then this will just be for your benefit and everybody that's listening, but I know Taylor will get a kick out of it. There's a part in the movie where George is hovering over Kai, and right. It's not George's voice. They dubbed over George's voice.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's quite weird.
That is weird.
It's like some Italian guy from New Jersey, but So you have to go back. I wanted to make sure as soon as you do listen or watch the movie, you're going to have to ask George what he thought about that. But what is George's opinion as far as your diet goes? Because on all over the internet, he's Mr. Carb, and he takes a lot of crap for people not believing that he can get his guys in shape with a lot of carbs, and people want to quickly say that he's a DNP pusher as far as his guys using it. Does he literally have a one-track mind as far as what he thinks works, or will he give each guy their own individual program?
Well, as far as DNP, I can honestly tell you, as far as I go, and as far as what I've heard, he's never, ever used anything like that. Or even told me to even try that. He's actually very against anything like that. And then as far as carbs, he is a big carb guy. I mean, he believes in carbs 100%. But, he's also, it doesn't work like that. What we do is this. He starts adding fats back in once you're already in shape. And that's the difference in this program. We don't get a whole lot of fat until all the body fat's gone. Then once the body fat's gone, and it's just that little bit trouble area that your body has, that your body naturally holds on to harder than anywhere else, then he starts adding fats. And then instead of having to do a ton of cardio to get it off, it just starts to fly off on its own.
Gotcha.
Right? And perfect example is this is a couple weeks out from the Olympia, and that was my best shape to date. I mean, I was in shape at the Olympia. And when I went up to New York, everyone's looking at me going, yeah, I think you need to up your cardio. So I tell George says, okay, take your cardio out and change a couple things around, but no cardio for a week, and then let's see what you look like. And of course, as an athlete, I'm going, yeah, right, that's crazy, but I got to trust him. And I went back to New York a week later, and everybody's going, holy shit, what did you do? What did you do, like 2 hours of cardio a day? You look fucking awesome. So I think he doesn't panic. That's one thing. He never panics. He always makes very methodical decisions. And if something's not going right, instead of panicking and saying, okay, do this, he's like, okay, well, we're going to look at you every day. So I'll just send him pics every morning. And we just make small changes every day till we get what we want.
Gotcha. Well, I've always been curious about this, and we've asked some other guys about working with big name like coaches and gurus. Now, George might have several competitors all competing in the same show, and you might be one of them. Is it weird or awkward that he might be giving advice to somebody you could be in a call out next to? Does that make you a little edgy or no?
No, because I'm a coach too, so I understand it. You know what I mean? Like I don't expect him to say, okay, run at every beck and call when me and Kai are in the same show. That doesn't make any sense because, for that day, Kai is going to be in contention for Mr. Olympia. But the flip side of that is when we're in Prague and he knows I have an opportunity to make the top 5. The first year we're there, he put everything into me because he knew Kai was pretty much had that show locked down. So he's like, he put everything into me for that show. And I'm talking if he saw me, I think 6, 7 times within a 12-hour span. So, he's, and then when we were in Phoenix, it was me and Minute that were up there for him and Greg Gatorian, and he would put everything into us there too. So I think you have to be willing to, you have to understand your position, and you have to understand that, he can't, everybody can't be number one that day when it comes to, but I said, hey, George, to make things easier, let me just send you pics. And if I run into trouble, I'll come and see you. He's like, cool. And that worked perfectly, so, I think a lot of guys get too crazy about this thing. It's like all the work's done. That's fine tuning at the end,
Absolutely. How's your training changed from when you were in your 20s, 30s, and now about to be 40 years old? Have you switched it up a lot, or pretty much been the same kind of guy?
It changed a lot over the last few years, but this year we've taken it back to what I was doing in my early 20s. We're doing a lot of power movements and combined with high rep isolations. But I might front squat 5 sets for 6, but then we might do 120 yards worth of walking lunges. I might overhead press 6 to 8, but then we're doing rear delts from anything from 12 reps to 50 reps. So my smaller muscle groups are definitely getting the attention they need, but we're also hitting those large muscle groups. And I knew I needed to work on my hamstrings, and my glutes. So I hired Paul Carter. His website is liftrunbang.com. And it's amazing, man. I mean, last week, I front squatting 500 for 6, pulling, close to 700 pounds on deadlift. And at the same time, I'm also doing plate raises for 100 reps with 35-pound plates. So, I'm covering all bases. I'm getting stronger. I feel great. I'm excited.
Sounds good. Hey, Fred, let's get back to starting with sort of the beginning with your dance background, because I know most people know you sort of for your posing routines, and they're very popular. How did you get into dance? When did you get into dance, and how did it? Fill us in on that aspect of your career.
Well, I got into dance because me and my buddy we used to do a lot of battling and dancing at clubs, and oddly enough, our first real performance was at a bodybuilding show to Mr. Delaware. In 1992, and nice. we were the intermission. We did the intermission for that, so that was exciting for us. And from there, a dance instructor saw us and asked if we'd do a couple events with them, and we did it. And then the dance instructor pulled me aside and said, "What do you think about doing competitions in jazz dance?" And that's how I got into actually doing classes and actually getting into all the technical stuff, ballet, jazz, modern.
Were you working out already, or no?
I was a football player, doing football, that type training, and gotcha. I was a wrestler as well. So, but then I went to college and got into powerlifting, and but I also picked the college based on I could be a business major as well as minor in dance. And so I went to Salisbury State University, and I did that. And, so I'm a far away from that type of movement now. Everything I do is pretty basic. But what it does allow me to do is put the routines together so that it keeps the audience engaged the whole time.
For sure. Do you remember a time when you really sort of settled in that maybe you've gotten too big and it started impairing your sort of your flexibility and stuff like that?
Probably, actually the biggest was last year when I was guest posing. When I compete, it's still not a big deal because, I feel really light when I compete. But, when I'm up in that 250 range, when I was guest posing around 250, it gets harder to have the stamina to go the whole 3-4 minutes, hardcore like that. So,
well, most pro bodybuilders can't even tie their shoes in the off season. So you got to be.
But they all laugh at me. They're like, "Man, how do you do that and still breathe?" But
hey, Fred, you said the one you were doing at the intermission at the 92 Delaware was it 92 or 91 Delaware?
I think it's 90. I'm pretty sure. You're right. I think it was the 91. I think it was 91.
Was Dave Pulcinella in that one? I gotta ask.
I don't know, man. I remember Jose Jericho being in that one, and Cynthia Battles was the promoter, but may have been 91. I'm not sure. It's either 91 or 92 though.
No. I bring up Dave because, as you know, he's my co-host on another show, The First Call Out, and I know you guys live only 20 or 30 minutes away from each other, and you guys are always have a bunch of competitors locally and regionally that you guys are working with. Did you know that Dave, I don't know if you've listened to the show, but I don't know if you know this about Dave. He's very eccentric. did you know that Dave was this kind of a guy, or did you always see him as the raising the bar, 6 foods that work, very focused bodybuilder?
I always see him as a very focused, always got my gallon of water with me, never eat anything off the diet. Dave, that's what I know.
I can tell you there's a whole different Dave that you need to get to know.
Really?
Oh yeah. So I'm going to encourage you to listen to, we have a show coming out Monday.
Okay.
It'll be the first Call Out 27, and you'll get to know Dave in a whole new light. So next time you see him, you're going to have a lot of ammunition.
All right, cool.
Yeah. So, hey Taylor, any other questions? We'll let Fred get off the mic here.
Yeah, for sure. Fred, you were just out of curiosity. You're saying you were talking about when you saw Justin Compton on the stage next to you. Is there anyone else that sticks out in your mind that you sort of knew was a freak, but then you got on stage next to you, just looked, and they just blew your mind, kind of when you're actually in the flesh next to them?
Yeah, 2 guys. Kai Greene. I saw Kai backstage for the first time, and of course I've seen him a couple times, but I don't even know if I want to be that big, man. He's he's unworldly, man. That shit is crazy. It is crazy, and but the one that I really want to get to is Dexter. Dexter is not big, but Dexter is perfect, man. I mean, that is, when you see that up close, it truly is perfect, and he'll hit a side chest, I'll hit a side chest, and I can see that the muscles on my chest are bigger, but it doesn't even matter because he's just perfect, and his conditioning is always just ridiculous. So
that's an awesome answer. I wasn't expecting that. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to, man.
You never hear a bodybuilder say, I don't know if I want to get that big. I love that.
No, I'm serious. You can't even fathom. Pictures do it no justice. He is so big, man. Like, I mean, when he's sitting there and he hits the side chest and, you see other body parts on the other side of him that shouldn't even be there. I mean, it's just crazy. Like, he's just big. He's so big.
I watched those videos where he has the like the whole red sweatshirt on and sweatpants, and I think the chafing starts at like his ankle, and there's no space up between his calves, knees, and thighs. Yeah, like it looks uncomfortable. It literally looks uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think they forgot to put myostatin in him. He's just so big, man. I mean, it's crazy. But whatever. Like people. One thing about Kai, man, he's so freaking. He's a good person, and he's incredibly intelligent, and he just has a way of, he expresses himself different than anyone else. But he's a good guy, man. Good guy.
Where do you rank your posing versus his and Tricky Jackson? Are you the best, or do they got you, or is it about even? Where do you see it?
I mean, I all I know is that on the spot in 3 competitions this year, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and a couple and AMI and Robert Chang, they all created posing awards for me on the spot because Arnold literally said, "You are the best poser I've ever seen."
That's a huge compliment.
Doesn't really matter what I think.
No shit.
Don't really matter what I think.
Hey Fred, do you still practice when it comes to your posing? Are you sort of practice something you implement or practice year round with the dancing and posing and shit like that, or are you pretty much just relying on your old skill base and then sort of brushing off the dust when it comes to prep?
No, I don't necessarily. I always practice my mandatories starting 16 weeks out, just so that they're effortless on stage. But as far as the actual posing, I actually go to the club, man, and I go me and the wife would go out and go dancing, and I'll just watch the younger dancers, and then I'll take something. I go, okay, because realistically, I'm only looking for 16 counts worth of dance. The rest is just posing in between. So I'm only looking for 16 counts, so it's not too much. And when I find those 16 counts, I'm like, oh, okay, that's hot. Let me manipulate it. Like the one year we went into Vegas, saw the Jabberwockies perform. And I got a couple things from that, So that's, I just find my inspiration and I run with it.
I very badly wish I could be there just to watch people's faces as you're in the club dancing around with your wife. You have to be the biggest dude that they've ever seen just show up and start dancing.
You guys are cool.
Hey, Fred, I know one thing that everyone's going to really want to hear because they love getting the real bird's eye view of your life. Can you just walk us through from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed? What's a normal day look like for you?
I get up, I go downstairs, get my kids' food together.
Hold on. Are you up at 6 o'clock or are you a late riser? Or?
No, I'm up at 6 o'clock, because I got to get the kids to school.
Okay.
So I get them up and get their meals together. I get my wife's shake together. Then once they get out the door, I do my coffee, do my fat burner, jump on the cardio, get the cardio knocked out. Then I start getting into my online programs, knock a few of those out. Then I come into the office and I usually see 3 or 4 clients. Then I go train for 2 hours usually. Get done, see more clients. If it's a Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, I usually see clients till about 9, 10 o'clock at night. If it's Wednesday or Friday, I usually see clients till about 4. Then I either go pick up my other 2 kids or hang out with my wife and the younger 2 kids. So, and on weekends, I'm typically coming up here soon. Typically weekends, I'm going somewhere to do an appearance or something. So,
very good, very good. Hey, Fred, you want to give a shout out to anybody? Any sponsors or anything like that, or people you just want to say hello to for fans where they can reach out to you, things like that?
Yeah, well, the fans can definitely check me out at on Instagram at Fred Biggie Smalls, on Facebook at IFBB Pro Fred Biggie Smalls, and I would definitely always got to give a shout out to my supportive wife. She's awesome, and my sponsors, Premier Sports, Real Athletics, and P28. And then, all the fans, I appreciate the support. Appreciate you guys for having me on, and it's been great. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Fred.
Thanks, man. You said you're doing what was the Orlando?
Orlando Pro, May 1st.
Awesome. We'll be watching.
Thank you.
Guys, root for Fred. He's a good guy. He's a big supporter of Project Bodybuilding, so you got to root for Fred Smalls in 2015. Fred, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.